Alright, so someone asked me to do a video on bait casting setups. First off, you have to really think about what you're going to be using it for. You know, everybody uses bait casters on the Elite Series, the FLW Series, but really, if you're not going to fish line heavier than, say, 14-pound test, you really don't need a bait casting setup. Bait casting really gives you the ability to use larger line, heavier lures in a more confined setting. Flipping, pitching, short, precise target casting. If you're out, you know, bombing tubes on Muskegon Lake or any of the other northern smallmouth lakes, you can probably still get away with spinning gear. The other thing that allows you to do is it gives you more control over retrieve ratios. You can use different retrieve ratio reels for different things. 6:4 to 1 is great for moving baits. So a 5:4 to 1 gear ratio is great for crankbaits. Other things that you want to slow down, you want that power gear. If you're into, you know, flipping, pitching, or anything else where it's you're dropping a lure vertically and then reeling it back in, you're going to want a really high gear ratio. That way you spend less time cranking in. Also rods. So you can pick up spinning rods that are medium heavy. But you really only get to this anyway, he really wants to bite the rod. He's already destroyed one. So this is the Dobyns Fury. This is a 704. It's a 7-foot heavy fast action. It's just a good all-around bait casting rod. I would say that you're going to want at least a 7-foot, probably to a 7.2 medium heavy fast action rod. And that's the one thing bait casters allow you to do, is use heavier equipment and really pull bass out of cover. So setting the brakes on your bait casting reel, you have really 3 brakes that I'm going to talk about. So you have your centrifugal brake under the side plate, the handle side plate. You have your cast control cap, which is going to be the majority of your adjustments, and then the most important adjustment tool of all and braking system is your thumb. Your thumb always stays on the spool, and you're always using your thumb to apply pressure or release pressure in order to cast further or stop a lure before you get a backlash. So first thing we're going to talk about is adjusting the centrifugal brakes. You're really only going to use this in the wind or when it's windy. So for Shimano reels, they have the SVS system. If you open up the side plate, pops open on a Curado, you have 4 brakes inside. So you either slide them in or out in order to turn them on or off. I really only use 2 brakes on at a time. This is just kind of a set it and forget it for me. If it gets really windy or I'm trying to cast really light lures, then I'll set 3, maybe 4 brakes, but other than that, it's always on 2, and I really just set it, close the cap, and I forget it. So the system also allows for minute adjustments on this dial here. It's got a 1 through 6 setting. You can increase or decrease and make those finite adjustments. So the next port is the cast control knob. So if you turn it towards the front, it tightens it. Towards the front of the reel, it tightens it. You turn it towards you or towards the thumb bar, it loosens it. And this allows basically the spool to rotate faster or slower, depending on how much pressure you want to use. Is always your thumb. So when I'm casting, I always wrap my arm or my hand around. Got my index finger at the top of the handle, and I always keep my thumb on the spool. And then when I'm reeling in, all I'll do is I'll move my thumb up to the side of the frame to keep it out of the way. But 99.9% of the time your thumb is going to stop any backlash regardless of the other 2 brakes. So now that I've explained the brakes, I'm going to readjust the camera, and then I'm going to talk about how to set the cast control cap initially for the lure weight. So the first thing you're going to do with the cast control cap, once you have it all the way forward, is press down on the thumb bar till it clicks, like you're going to make a cast. But as you can see, the lure stays right there because I have the cast control cap all the way forward and it's pushing against the spool shaft and not allowing it to turn. So what I'm going to do slowly in order to set the cast control cap brake is to rotate it back towards me very slowly until the lure starts to move, like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring it back up. What you basically want is you want the spool to release, the lure to drop to the ground, and when the lure hits the ground, the spool should stop immediately. No extra back play. I'm going to show you the right way to do it, and then because I'm going to have to spend 10 minutes picking out a backlash, I'll show you the bad way to do it after. So click the thumb bar, you'll hear it, and then you'll see the lure drop slowly. And as you can see, the reel stopped, the spool stopped, and no extra line came off. And that's the problem. Backlashes are when the spool on the inside turns faster than the line is coming off from your cast. So the easy way to mitigate that is to set the cast control cap pretty hard the first time, because if you back the cast control knob all the way off and I just let it fall from the same distance, and I stop it because I don't really feel like picking all that out.